It's been a couple of weeks since my last video, so what has been going on in my art and tarot world? Stick around and I shall reveal all. So first up, I have got some new decks to my collection. Yes, they are more unopened decks, and if you'd like to find out why I have so many unopened decks, then I will link a video up here to explain why. So new for me then, the Guardian Angel Oracle deck by Delia Cilarelli. Now, I've had my eye on this deck for a while, and when I started working with Yasmin Boland's Moonology Oracle decks, she has a lot of information about angels that are good to work with in particular moon phases, and typical me thought that sounds exciting. So I went with this deck because I feel like I preferred the artwork. Some of the other decks that are out there, I don't know, I just didn't gel with them quite as much, and also this one has all 72 angels in there, and a lot of the decks have probably just the main angels that you are likely to come across. And again, because I'm a Virgo and we like to learn everything, I thought, well, if I'm going to get a deck, I might as well get one that has all of the angels in, and then I don't have to worry about getting any more information about angels. But knowing me, I will probably decide I need to get another book at some stage, but watch this space. And in my last video, in my last couple of videos, I've been reviewing decks by the indie creator Lisa McLaughlin. Now, I did say she's made the decision to stop creating her indie decks, and I didn't want to miss out, so I have ordered the remaining 2 decks that were available, the first of which is the Plant Ally Oracle deck. It arrived a couple of weeks ago, hasn't opened. I'm being true to my word as to why I'm not not opening these decks, and so these decks will be incentives to complete some of the projects that I'm doing, if you don't watch the other video, that is. And the other deck that is now coming, hopefully sometime this week, is Lisa's Textured Tarot deck. At the time of filming, there are 9 available, and then I think once they're sold, there'll be no more. And of course I will share these with you because I think these are beautiful bits of artwork, but I don't know, I'm just really drawn to Lisa's artwork. I love her style, I love how she's interpreted the tarot, and I think because a lot of them are nature based, I'm very into sort of nature and this idea of getting back to nature and almost rewilding in a sense. So very excited to have them added to my deck collection. As I mentioned, these decks are going to be incentive for something that you need to aim for, and I got this idea from using my legend planner, and I do actually have a review which I'll link up here. Using rewards is quite a good idea, particularly if you struggle to stick and stay focused with the project, and I know I definitely do, and I have found that having a reward is definitely good motivation. However, as I found out in the last couple of weeks, sometimes that can impact negatively, and I'll talk a little bit about that later on in the video. So, update on the progress of the tarot deck that I'm designing, which is the Tremendous Tuxedo Tarot, inspired by my black and white cat and my love of the circus. If you'd like to see what has been designed so far, I will link a video up here. I'm still working on the major cards, and I have been struggling with some of the cards, in particular the Wheel of Fortune, the Devil and the Star card. I think just being a typical Virgo and obsessing with the details a bit too much, and I think trying to get that fine balance with fitting my theme to the meanings of the tarot deck, and I'm basing it on Rider-Waite-Smith, and so that's where the challenge has lied. I talked about incentives earlier, and I realised that even though I was struggling, I was because I was so keen to sort of get it done and get the reward and then having like a video on YouTube to show me getting the reward, because that I said that I would do that, I'd share that with you. That was what was driving me, and I wasn't actually engaging in the actual creative part. I realised that my focus had shifted from just enjoying creating this art to something else that was driving me. And so I was spending hours on these things, like tweaking and thinking, oh, it's not right, it's just not getting the vibe that I want it to have, and I was just getting so frustrated, and I think I just got to a stage of creative burnout. And interestingly, a recent reading that I did actually pointed that out to me. I think I knew that something wasn't quite working for me creatively, but a reading I did actually spelt it out for me very clearly that yeah, this was the problem, this was the root cause. And so again, tarot, not only is it inspiring my artwork, but it's helping me to work out where I'm experiencing challenges. In addition to that, I've been creating these cards or these designs on my computer using Affinity Designer, and I've really enjoyed the process, and it is an interesting way to work. However, I was racking up all these hours on the computer staring at a screen, and as we all know, too much screen time is not particularly good for our mental health. And I think there was this part of me, like my intuition, just screaming for something that was a little bit more hands-on creatively. And so I just wanted to do some drawing or some painting, but I think when you haven't done physical artwork for a long time, it can be a little bit daunting, because you get caught up in this sort of perfectionism that computer work gives you, and then that carries on over into sort of artwork. And so I got a copy of this beautiful art book, Imagine a Forest, Designs and Inspirations for Enchanting Folk Art, just out of interest really, because I've always loved this style, and I've only been doing it for a couple of days, and I've just had really good fun copying them, and I found it quite mindful. So in a similar way, if you've ever done mindful colouring, it's just a way of being hands-on, being creative, but without having to come up with a concept first. And I think that's a really good tip if you want to do some artwork and you're not sure where to start. Do something simple. So whether it's copying something, copying someone else's artwork, or just doing some colouring in, just to sort of ease yourself into it. And I find whenever I've had a creative block, that's what I do. I just look to something else for inspiration where I haven't had to come up with an idea for myself. But the reason I chose this particular book and this particular style of art, in addition to the Tremendous Tuxedo Circus, I'm very much interested in sort of pagan folklore and gods and goddesses, and once I'm done with the circus, that's where I want to head. So this is sort of background research, evolving ideas for the next project. I've kind of got the mind where I need to sort of break up intense things, otherwise I just get overwhelmed with them. And I do love the artwork, particularly by Tijana Lukovic for the Seasons of the Witch series, that folklore style where it's all very simple but it's based on nature. And whilst I don't want to copy her style, I'd quite like to use this book to take ideas but apply them to my own style, which will be the next step. And for me, I think it's just ways of simplifying what I do, because I tend to make my art very complicated, probably way more complicated than it needs to be. And also to remind myself to add decoration, because I actually love decoration. I love pattern. I studied textiles, and sometimes I just forget those little details that can really bring a piece of artwork like to the next level of sort of detail and just enjoyment of one, creating it and doing it. So that's going to be a watch this space. Don't worry, I haven't given up on the Tremendous Tuxedo Circus. I'm just taking a little bit of time out to refresh my mind so I can come back to it fresh and full of enthusiasm. And interestingly, some of the other readings that I've been doing over the last week have definitely well, at the time when I had this aha moment about why I was struggling with the Devil card and the other cards that I mentioned, was I just needed to take a step back and sort of reassess where I was at, and this is my way of taking a step back. And I find actually when you get into that mindful state of drawing, sometimes ideas and thoughts and they sort of come to me about, you know, where I want to go next. So I found it a really useful process. Now, because I have been in this place where I felt a little bit stuck creatively, I've really turned to the cards over the last couple of weeks for just a bit of guidance, as you do, just to find out what's what. And these are the decks I've been using in the last couple of weeks, which is the Enchanted Forhaxa Tarot, the Urban Crow Tarot. Now they're both by MJ Cullinane. We have a couple of the Season of the Witch oracles, so Mabon and the Samhain one. I haven't actually used the Samhain one. I'll probably leave it until the weekend until I start using that one again. And I've also brought out and given the Hush Tarot by Jeremy Hush another go, because when I first started to use this, I was sort of struggling to get meaning from it, but actually it's been very insightful, and I've had some really interesting readings from it the last couple of times I've used it. And at some stage I will do a full review on this. It's one of those ones that I think you'd either love or hate, and because I think it is quite a challenging deck, and I wouldn't say this was necessarily for beginners or petite people who are really sort of traditional when it comes to accurate Rider-Waite-Smith meanings. So what have the cards been telling me then? Well, I've had a lot of kind of earth and fire energy, a lot of pages and knights, and a lot of the messages I've been getting have been an interesting balance between committing to projects and seeing them through to achieve my goals, and how I go about that, and am I really committed. And I think that has been because I've needed to take some time out, and on reflection I do think it was necessary for me to take a step back and not work on the computer for a week, just simply to sort of refresh my brain. And I think it was getting a bit intense, and now that I've taken that time out and I've done a change of activity in terms of creativity, I am ready to come back and look at it afresh. So I don't think I need to worry about my commitment to creating this deck, because I definitely want to finish it. I've invested too much time on it already, so to stop now would be foolish, let's say. There's also been indication that yes, I needed to take some time out, and the cards have reflected that, because I've had cards that have been about exploring creativity, creative freedom, and sort of finding my way creatively. So yeah, I really feel that the cards have been spot on in terms of where I'm at, and sort of mentally, and where I am with my creative practice. It's been really interesting to sort of compare what the cards have said and the sort of reality and what's actually been happening. And you know, like they say, the cards never lie. So what do you think? How have your readings been this week? How have they been reflected in what's actually been going on in your life? Have they been accurate? Can you see why the cards have given you those readings? I'd love to know, and pop some comments below and share our experience as we evolve our tarot practices. Thank you so much for joining me today and hanging out and listening to my various updates for my tarot deck and new decks, and where I'm at with my creativity. If you enjoyed the video today, I'd really appreciate it if you like the video. Feel free to make a comment about anything I've mentioned today. I'd love to connect with people who are on their own tarot journeys, and if you're interested in my tarot journey and other tarot related content, then please consider subscribing to my channel. And until the next video, bye bye.